At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony Sie. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our program Between the Headlines, where we talk about the issues making news in Liberia. I'm Anthony hosting today along with my partner Jimmy Eastman, who is joining us from the nation's capital. We also have with our reporter, Mr. Prince Mamba, that is focused on Liberia legislative reporter there, but he covers it all in Liberia. Jimmy, it's good to have you. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, it's a cloudy day in the nation's capital, but our eyes are on Liberia. A lot of developments, and we want to make sure we help this ship steer straight with the new administration.
Jermaine, you couldn't be right. We got to get it right. We got to get it straight. We can't have it this way. We can't have it business as usual. Prince Mamba is comfortably seated, and he's joining us from the nation's capital. Like I said earlier, he is focused on Liberia legislative reporter. Mr. Mamba, thanks for joining us. How are you doing, and how is the homeland?
Thank you for joining me back home in Liberia, Anthony. Today is a Sunday day in Monrovia. It's after 5 o'clock p.m., 6 minutes after 5 p.m. So it's great to be with you. And of course, politics all over the place. And we go on with the show. Some of those issues are going to be highlighted. So it's great to join you guys this afternoon.
All right. With that, folks, in cyberspace and the land of television, we want to welcome you to this edition of Between the Headlines. The afternoon edition focuses on current events, you know, those stories that are making headlines in the news and the things that people are talking about. And we have a lot of them to cover. We have our legislative reporter here. He will be making a concise and detailed report about some of the things happening in Liberia. And Jimmy Eastman and myself, we will be dissecting those issues. We should be joined by another reporter of ours, that is Jeremiah Mamba, who will also give a report. The CDC had a press conference yesterday, and he was there and he covered it all. What is the CDC up to now? Will the CDC be a responsible opposition? They are now the major opposition party in Liberia. You know, will they be good examples will they be able to hold the current government accountable in a more responsible way? Now, talking about the issues making headlines, before I turn things over to our man Prince Mumba, who will give us a report of some of the things that are happening. We have another story here that is worth discussing. George Blamont Dixon, he is a sitting judge. He has accused the president, Joseph Yemambwaka, of nepotism and tribalism. This is the headline right there. And as you can see, this is being reported by the Daily Observer. And it reads here, Judge Dixon accuses Bwaka of nepotism and tribalism. According to this judge, he says the president is favoring his kinsmen over other Liberians. He claims that out of 14 out of every 20 appointments the president makes come from his native county of Lofa. Now, in another story here also, Liberia GAC to audit all 103 spending entities. The gentleman you see there is Josiah Joka Jr. He is the Director General of the Civil Service Agency. And he is saying that they are going to audit all the 103 spending entities within the Liberian government because they have discovered some irregularities, a lot of ghost names, and they're going to remove those ghost names. Just to give you a little detail there, according to Josiah Joka during the press conference that was held at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, he said, just at the office of the president alone, at the Ministry of Presidential Affairs, 69 individuals could not be properly accounted for. According to him, this signifies that there are ghost names even at the Ministry of Presidential Affairs. He went further by saying, at the Liberian National Police, about 98 employees remain untraceable, raising suspicions of fictitious personnel on the payroll. The issue of ghost name had been a serious issue in Liberia. Jimmy, what you have?
Well, it looks like a bumpy start, Anthony. We expected a lot of experience coming in with this administration. And what we're witnessing is a little bit of clumsiness. Let's take, for instance, the ghost names, and it is the first thing if they wanted a clean house is to take an audit, and once you take an audit, then you can begin to address the issues that are not consistent with the legal and good practices. But what we're seeing is that they're sort of jumping the gun. We also hearing that the asset recovery team as well is already begin to flag vehicles and go after people and properties. Again, where are they? What are they using to go after these assets? Have they already completed an audit? And even if they do have intelligence information that certain vehicles are being hidden or being used by individual for their private affairs, they still need to have a systematic way of addressing it. And if they don't do that, then it will look like a witch hunt. So by all means, we want to see an organized way of the government going after and retrieving the assets so that we keep the peace and everybody feels that they've been treated fairly. I think is of paramount importance that the process is transparent and orderly so that all will be considered fair and just. That's one of the key things I see.
Thank you, Jimmy. Talking about assets recovery, our man Prince Mumba has a detailed report on that. Prince, it's over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me, Anthony. So here in Liberia, like we have some discussion earlier on yesterday. In fact, the assets recovery thing, as it was set up by the President Bouaga, has been moving around in the streets, and then they've been stopping vehicles and vehicles that they deem suspicious, and then asking the owners to give document as to how they obtained those vehicles. So yesterday afternoon was another time where several vehicles were parked and impounded. I mean, the notable among them was a vehicle belonging to the former police inspector director, Patrick Sulu. That vehicle is a Jeep. It was impounded yesterday. And other taxi cabs that belong to the then chief of protocol to the president, Finabono. Those cabs are in Monrovia. You will see on the gracious right, I think from number 1 to around 30 Sunday or so. And so a few of them were parked yesterday. According to the team, those vehicles are suspicious. They were procured for government, but allegedly Finabono and the former Commerce Minister Mawani Diggs turned it into their own business. Those are allegations that are not been established. So based on that, they are investigating. So some of those vehicles were parked yesterday, and they were turned over to the asset recovery team, and they are doing further investigation only. With the vehicle belonging to the former police director, it was also parked. But this morning, phoning on of the local radio station here in Monrovia, Prime FM to be specific, Colonel Sudu said, former Inspector General Sudu said he purchased the vehicle from the government through the system of purchase when the vehicle depreciates under the Liberian government. So he paid for it. He has all documents in his possession. And he said it was unfortunate that the government assets recovery team did not contact him, and they were able to. I mean, it was an embarrassing situation where his family were some members of the family were on the car, and they were asked out of the car. I had a receipt here, receipt of purchase. I don't know what I sent in the chat room. I'm going to do that. And so that how it is with the asset recovery thing. The only thing we need to be looking at there whether or not the proceeding by the team is the right. Secondly, what is a good thing also for officers of government to be buying government purchased vehicle in the name of depreciation, because the GSA, one of the former deputies there called on the radio this morning. He is saying that the revenue law states an individual can purchase a government vehicle, but they have 40% depreciation rate of the vehicle after each year that passes from the date of the purchase of the vehicle. So because the argument has been why a vehicle that is purchased for $40,000 or $50,000 will be purchased after 1 year or 2 years for $5,000. Anthony and Mr. Ismail, the both of you are aware that here in Liberia, the government does procure vehicles after every 3 years, buy another one for the legislature. It goes across government. And so, as some of those vehicles are purchased, well, huge sum of money. You're talking about 40,000, 50,000, 30,000 around there. So, Mr. Sudu may have bought, it's reported that Father Sudu bought this vehicle for $5,000 after he has spent only 1 or 2 years in use. So, the argument is, how did they determine the depreciation rate of that vehicle before it was purchased or sold for $5,000? So the deputy called this morning. He said the revenue law provides that from the date of a purchase of a vehicle by government, anyone who wants to buy it from the government, the depreciation rate there is about 40% deduction of the original price for which the vehicle was purchased. So that is the situation on the asset thing. You guys can come in and ask few questions. But then if you check in our chat room, Musa Belede also has a position on the current representative for District 7 for NIMBA. His argument is that stopping vehicles on the road, identify those vehicles you claimed that were not properly acquired by ex-officials of government, publish it to the public, communicate with those people to turn the vehicles over to you or to government. If they do not do it, then of course you can take the step you're taking now. But many people are frowned at the proceeding, but the asset recovery team has not rested. They are still working. I mean, a few hours ago, I saw a live video from one of the online TVs somewhere around town. They are also parked few vehicles there. So that is the situation on the issue of the asset recovery team.
But Prince, the vehicles were issued to these former government officials now through the GSA. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a procedure. GSA issues the vehicle to the officials of government.
So do we know if the GSA has a complete list of individuals they have given cars to who have not returned the cars to government when they should?
The GSA should have that. The GSA should have that. In fact, the GSA, I do not even think we need an asset recovery thing when the GSA should know, when the GSA knows how many officers of government that vehicles were procured for and how many of them that did not turn over. So yes, as the question, to answer the question, the GSA knows exactly how many officers of government, maybe from the LMP, from the Ministry of Finance, and any other agency of government that vehicles were issued to.
Has the GSA published the list of individuals in possession of government properties, including vehicles? Do you know?
Not to my knowledge. I've been seeing that since the government time ended in January of this year rather.
Jermaine, in your assessment of this situation, looking at the GSA specifically that issued these vehicles to these individuals and maybe other government properties as well, why you think would be the proper procedure here in getting these vehicles from the individuals who took delivery of the vehicles in the first place?
You know, the whole matter lacks transparency. I think that's the principal problem. Even if the government were selling these vehicles to the individuals, there should be a very transparent process. In fact, I'm not sure why it's not even auctioned. Why only certain individuals have the right to purchase the government vehicles. I think there were a much more fair way of doing it is by offering an auction. You set up an auction and you can, if you have to get rid of the vehicles, let's auction it. Second, if our country is strapped for cash, and you know the purchase of vehicles is expensive, why we don't have a better maintenance program that will save us money in the end instead of having to buy vehicles every 2 years? If you can recall, 6 years ago, we saw the similar thing happen in the transition. Several vehicles were there was a mass arrest of order for vehicles. It looks like every single administration we're going to see this. And until we fix the fundamental problem, in other words, who owns the vehicle, how are we selling the vehicle, and let's establish who should be able to buy the vehicle. There's too much cloud. And that is the reason people get away with these things, because we don't have it. It's not exposed. We don't have clarity.
And Jimmy,
let's say
you are in speech, but this is costing government too much money that it does not already have. Why you think can be the best approach here? This is Patrick Suru, former police chief, who used a vehicle given to him by the government through the GSA and he decided to purchase the car and that he will use the car and spend $5,000. Um, the process that Prince explained, that there's this process of procedure that when a car depreciates, the owner can buy it from government. For me, that is a recipe for corruption. That is a resolution, and it should that whole thing should be thrown through the window. Oh, I was using a car, and now I say, well, it has depreciated. And from whom did he buy the car? The GSA? If the
Of course, yes.
GSA, if he bought the car from the GSA, but the thing is, I want the GSA to actually issue a list of individuals who are in possession of government vehicles and other properties. That should be the first thing that should be done. The fact that that has not been done yet, and as is the stepping. I know Marybro was challenged at some point to release a complete list of individuals in possession of government properties, especially vehicles. To my knowledge, the GSA, Marybro, who was there, I don't know if you stayed there, failed to do so. So how do we go forward with this if we don't have the accurate record of who owns what in that?
And another thing there is who determines the depreciation of the vehicle, because the
Right.
GSA does not do the GSA does not do the servicing. It is the owner or the entity that does the servicing. Now, another thing there is why would government say the depreciation rate should be 40% of the purchase price? You know what you're talking about? You know, you're talking about you purchase the vehicle. I mean, so now 80,000 US dollars, 40,000, 50,000 US dollars for
Exactly.
some of those cars.
Yeah,
And
this
So,
is
like you said,
yeah, this is a mechanism that they have been using, and it is not correct. It is not transparent, and it costing the government money. But we need the political will to put a halt to this. This thing, the legislature should have gone and brought in the GSA director and all those who are concerned and ask them why are they using this process. But certain people are taking advantage of this process, and that is why they don't want to get rid of it. And until we bring transparency and justice to governance, Liberia will always be poor because we will be spending and respending and respending, and people will be taking advantage of the cloudy nature of our transactions. So we this can be corrected, but it requires a political will to do it.
Jimmy, you are right. It requires a political will and a better approach concerning that. The vehicle we're talking about, the 2016 Toyota Land Cruiser, uh, depending on how new it is, how loaded it is, it can be from $40,000 to $69,000. And as we've seen the pictures of that car, one can only assume that it should be around $40,000 to $60,000. So this is a car now. The former police chief, says he got it for $5,000 from the government.
Yeah.
And talking about the assets recovery thing, I mean, I don't know how it makes sense to see them in the field, personally involved with the confiscation of properties. I thought the police is a member on the assets recovery team as set up through the executive order by the president, right? So I thought they should
yeah,
provide whatever information they have in their possession that, hey, Minister X or former Minister X is in possession of the vehicle, and we have reason to believe that that person should not be in possession of such vehicle. Now the police will go and I don't make an arrest of that vehicle or the individuals and have a question, but to see them physically present in the field, that using force to retrieve cars from individuals. Jimmy, I don't know what you make of it. You think that's the proper procedure to go about that?
Definitely not. And I'm not sure what is prompting it. The reason, maybe they want to be fast, because they don't want the vehicles to disappear, so they want to be swift and act quickly before and the vehicles could get missing. But even if they want to do that, they have to do it in a proper manner, especially if they would only identify how these vehicles are changing hands. If they start with that process being clear and defined, then we won't have this problem. Okay, the GSA should have a list of vehicles who where they are and who's been responsible, and then you hold those people accountable. Nobody's above the law. If I assigned a vehicle to you, Anthony, I assigned you a pickup, a 2020 pickup, and you have left the position, I will tell you, so where is the pickup? And if you tell me you don't know where that pickup is, well, then I will hold you accountable, because it was put under your care and you are responsible. We have to hold people accountable for these things, and the whole process needs to be changed so that we can stop this sort of thing that go on every single 6 years. We'll be going through this thing.
And there were Musa Belete, a representative from Nimba County, comes in, and I think the point he's making is a point that makes a lot of sense. Musa Belete said, first he said, don't rush with asset recovery. I'm reading his statement. First, establish the lost assets and publish it, meaning publish the list of assets that are missing. Ask those in possession to return it or face prosecution, he said, and begin the search for specific asset of government that are lost. I know he used some language. He said, stop the nonsense of stopping peaceful citizens and asking them to establish their ownership of their vehicles. So in short, Musa is saying, publish the list, all right, and then tell these people, return the car. If you have the car, return it. If I'm in possession of a car that I'm now returning, you ask me, and if I fail to do, then you effect an arrest, and then I'll be asked to produce the car. But to physically go in the street, Musa Bede said that is not how you use experience. We have our man Jeremiah Momba here, who has joined us, but he's not able to get on video for some reason. Jeremiah, it's good that you are joining us. How you doing?
Well, I'm okay. Thanks so kindly, and good to be here. Thank you. How are you too?
Yeah. Yesterday you were at the CDC headquarters. You cover what some people are calling a major press conference. Sometimes I hear major press conference. What is major about this political party making noise? I know that will not move a needle in terms of governance in our country, but that's what the journalists would say, right? So you cover this press conference. Who all were there? Party leaders who graced the occasion there. What do you know was said by each of them that make any significant news? I understand they have a new chairman now. He also spoke. Tell us, give us a detailed report of what happened at the CDC headquarters there, please.
Thank you so kindly. And let me just answer your first question. What make the press conference major? Because the CDC has a new party chairman. His name is Janga Augusto Cole. He's the former Controller General of the Republic of Liberia, and he was the National Vice Chairman for administration of the CDC. As you may be aware that the former CDC Chairman Moba Modu resigned from his position. So according to the parties and the Constitution, the second president in role have to take over the party until the party go for convention. So Janga, being the second man within the CDC, took over as acting chairman of the party, and they will have a convention next April. The CDC will go for convention where all of the position will be declared vacant, and you have people applying to contest as well. So yesterday's press conference was his first official press conference since he took over as acting chairman of the CDC. In attendance yesterday were Deputy Speaker Tomo Fala. Tomo Fala is a vice chair for operations of the CDC. And you also have the Secretary General of the CDC, Jefferson Tamakoji, who was also there yesterday. You have some of the legislators from the CDC. You have Bon County Electoral District number 5 representative was present. You also have District number 9 representative was also present. And yesterday, surprisingly, we had Representative Yaka Kolba, who also the CDC press conference. And that was surprising.
What did Yaka go to do at the CDC headquarters during a press conference? Did you inquire to know why he was there for?
Well, several times we have interacted with Representative Yaka Kolba. He said he had told us that he is an opposition, lawmaker. So wherever you have opposition, he will always go in and identify. Remember, the lawmaker was one person who was, very hot when it comes to putting the CDC government feet to the fire. Now that the CDC is into opposition, the lawmaker has switched to the CDC. Now he's putting the UP government feet to the fire. So he has said wherever oppositions are, there where he will be. So yesterday,
does it mean that he wants to be a perpetual opposition lawmaker?
Certainly, that's the kind of thing he's trying to build now. But again, there were other citizens who were dissatisfied, especially when the lawmaker appeared at the headquarters of the CDC. Remember, Representative Cordova had been one of the lawmakers in the country who have been very vocal when the CDC was in power, especially on the neck of the former president, Josh Weir, and also some of the CDC representatives. It was surprising to note that he was even seated by Deputy Speaker Tomo Fala. He's been one person who has been very critical with Tomo Fala, especially about the inheritance of wealth. He had accused Tomo Fala of being somebody who, when he was chair on Committee on Ways, Means and Finance, he has alleged that Tomo Fala used to put money in the budget intended for his own business, especially his university, his high school, and other properties. So it was surprising yesterday.
His hospital, I think his hospital as well.
Yeah, hospital, radio station, all those kinds of things. So it was surprising to note that the lawmaker also came yesterday. And again, before the chairman spoke, it was the deputy speaker that spoke. He's the vice chair for operation, like I said. He expressed dissatisfaction with the CDC because there have been this news around that the deputy speaker had betrayed the CDC. Some Star Wars, some individual within the CDC are paraded with news that Tomo Fala, deputy speaker Tomo Fala, betrayed the CDC. There have been the footage on Facebook where he and Internal Affairs Minister that was being confirmed, Yumane, from Lofa County, former district number 1 representative, Yumane, during the 2023 election, there was the heated, fight among supporters of the CDC and the Unity Party that led to the death of some citizens in Lofa County. So that had brought a kind of bitterness among citizens and Unity Party supporters in Lofa County and the country at large. So the confirmation of Yumane as Internal Affairs Minister, and then the Deputy Speaker as well, going to attend his taking over ceremony as minister. Many saw it as something that the deputy speaker betrayed the party as well. But he said no, that's not because he said he did that because he wanted to reconcile, to let go those things that happened before in the past. But again, he said he one person who had been with the CDC. Remember, he is one of the longest serving lawmakers at Capitol Hill since 2005. He won since 2005, and he's still in the course. So he told the supporters that he remained with CDC and he continued to be with CDC. But the news that have been parading that because he visited Francis Ayuman and taking over as new internal affairs minister, it came a surprise as well because some citizens have been taking that as well. Right after that, you have the CDC caucus chair, former sanctioned Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, now Miami County, Senator Nathaniel McGill was there as well. He's a chair for the CDC Legislative Caucus. Other this last month, he was being elected by all of the CDC lawmakers in the country as their chairperson, as a chairperson. So he spoke yesterday. He said the CDC is not dead. In fact, there's this record that he served as chairman before he brought the leadership of President George Weah to power. So many citizens call him a strategist because he brought George Weah to power. So he said the CDC is not dead. They are exerting effort. They are making sure that all of the mistakes that went on in the elections, they want to galvanize strengths, weaknesses to ensuring that the CDC can bounce back. The supporters who are like disenchanted, he called upon them to come back to the party. Whatsoever dissatisfaction they have, they should just let that go. And the chairman mounted the podium and he spoke yesterday. And what he said, he has written House Speaker Funati Kofa. He has written House Speaker Funati Kofa. The letter written is a letter of complaint to House Speaker Funati Kofa. There are several things that are in the letter, especially what happened in Grand Cape County, the B Mountain issue that happened in Grand Cape County that led to some citizens, losing their lives and some being critically injured in Grand Cape County. So he called on the government to ensuring that there should be a speedy investigation. He also complained about where the president arrived from abroad and were being denied at the presidential lodge by some individual. He also complained that to the House Speaker in the letter, and where President George Weah also requested EPS officers from the government of Liberia that were not granted him as well. That was another complaint. According to him, when he left from the United States of America, when he arrived at the Rabat National Airport, where some supporters of the CDC have gone to receive him. Upon receiving him, there were some AFL personnel that came around. AFL personnel, the Armed Forces of Liberia came around. Some members of the Armed Forces of Liberia came around and decided to, make the supporters afraid, telling them to stay away. He believed that, with the manner and form the armed forces, some members of the armed forces came around at that particular stage, they brought fears within supporters because the army are, people who are supposed to be in a barrack, who are supposed to be at least when something happened, sometimes they call for reinforcement. But at that point where he has arrived from, the United States and came in a country where supporters have gone to receive him, and you're seeing some men and women of the armed forces of Liberia came around making supporters afraid and think that that was not something good. So he wrote the speaker, and that particular letter had been 60 copies to the U.S. Embassy, the Chinese Embassy, the ECOWAS, and other institutions within the country. Again, he blamed the U.S. government, especially with the things that he alleged that are ongoing in the country. He said these things are ongoing in the country, but the U.S. government is yet to release a press statement. It's yet to release a statement, especially the Grand Cape Mall incident that happened, where the president also called for the government to provide security. That did not happen. Some of the fire incident that just happened in the country, some of those country, the U.S. government has not released a statement. But he said during the CDC regime, several things went on, but there were too many statements that came from the U.S. government. The U.S. government condemned some of those statements that some of those things that happened in the country. But currently, the U.S. government being quiet, and these things are ongoing, and they just don't want to speak. So the letter have been written to Speaker Kofa, and he says they are making follow-up. That's the first thing. And if the host cannot provide any legitimate response, they're going to use another means. The means they're going to use were not disclosed to us as reporters, but he said they're going to use another means. We don't know what kind of means they're going to use.
Jared, thank you for that detailed and brilliant report there concerning the CDC press conference. Jimmy, again, political actors in Liberia basically whining and blaming everyone else but themselves about what they should be doing or not be doing in the country as political leaders. The CDC is blaming the U.S. government. This is a foreign government. Are they responsible for you in any way, shape, and form? This has become a pattern now, Jimmy. At one point, sitting Senator Darius DeLong took a protest to the U.S. Embassy, a sitting senator, asking U.S. government to intervene in election matters at the time. And this is not common along the leaders as well. So youth groups, they will go to the embassy to protest. Why have we come to this point, Jimmy? I mean, we need to get some education here that the embassies that we see in Liberia, they are not there for us. They are there for their citizens. They are not there to solve our problems. We have our leaders to solve our problems. And they will write a letter with ceasing copy the U.S. government. And now when the U.S. government decides to have they are intervening in our domestic affairs, we are the one inviting these people to tell us what to do. And the obvious reason is because our leaders basically don't know what to do. This is all I hear from the press conference, to whine and whine and whine. Jimmy, I want to get your take. We have a breaking news here concerning the assets recovery action against Finn and Bodo's business called Gracious Ride. The matter was taken to the Supreme Court. And then we have a letter from the court giving an instruction. Jimmy, your take, and then we'll bring that communication in, I'll read it, and we'll talk about it.
It definitely showing a weakness on our part that everything that happens, they have to go and report it to the U.S. Embassy. And notably, they also reported it to the Chinese Embassy, the ECOWAS, the South African Embassy as well. So we have in our internal affairs, but for somehow these groups and organizations, they feel they need to get our partners involved. I think one or two things. One is because they're not confident of their movement and what they're doing. They lack the official or the professional way of doing things. Secondly, they feel weak. They feel somebody has to intervene before we can settle our own problem. If you can remember for the war, we had to get ECOMOG in the country before we start fighting each other. So this definitely shows a lack of our ability to self-govern. And we're being the oldest nation in Africa, where we governed ourselves for decades and decades, to the chagrin of the Western world that said Africans could not self-govern. And now, in our old age, after 200 years, you find we acting like we can't self-govern ourselves. We are actually going backwards. So this whole attitude of going to partners at any kind of little ruckus or any kind of little conflict to solve our problems, we need to take it under the palaver hut. We need to talk instead of thinking other people can solve our problems. We're really not giving ourselves to the outside world. We're showing a vulnerability. We're showing a weakness. And that is not good for investors.
Jimmy, you couldn't have said it well. I have a very acute knowledge of our history. My understanding is that Liberia played a leading role even in the establishment of the United Nations.
Exactly.
Liberia was instrumental in the establishment of what we now today call the AU, the African Union.
That's correct.
Right? And even my understanding is that there was this particular meeting, maybe the first meeting or so, that were held in San Quentin. So,
and that's correct.
You've been around 1.5, right? So, Liberia is the country that the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, Rento, the likes of Nelson Mandela came to.
Correct.
Other African leaders. I mean, we were the big brother. All right.
Exactly. That's right.
We have had successive government peaceful transfer of power from Joseph Jenkins Roberts all the way to Omen Tubman.
That's right.
We had an administration for like 4 years, government turning over to another. We have demonstrated that we can self-govern. So where is this coming from? They said the war when ECOMOG and the other peacekeepers have to come, and then we were like looking up to them, to guide us through the conflict. Is that why we have surrendered our ability to lead and to self-govern? Where is this coming from? And the leaders that we have today, some of these individuals in the political parties, they are not kids. They were around when Liberia was a leader in Africa. And so where is this nonsense coming from that a senator will go to a U.S. embassy and carry a letter to protest? Why are they not even providing mentorship for these so-called militants that they call youths in their parties? That, look, this is how it's done. I know one reason that, Jimmy, the reason is the leaders in those political institutions, our leaders, all of them, are incapable of providing leadership for us to look up to them. All right? They are diverting their responsibility to other people. That's why we see this is complete nonsense. And this is why we see now with even the War Crime Code, Jimmy. It is the responsibility of us as a people to establish war crime codes. Why is it that it's like they're looking up to America, to act before we move? We have a government. Why hasn't the government, even previous government, why have they not written the United Nations specifically asking for help? You can ask for help, it's okay. But this is why we add when we want a raw crime code. These are the steps we are taking. This is how you want you to come in, because the code should have an international flavor. In Sierra Leone, before they had a code, Ahmed Tinjan Kaba wrote a letter to then Kofi Annan of the United Nations. He said, this senselessness that we had in this place, we need a war crime code in this place. That is how it was established. The leader took action. But when we came, or we asked the legislature to advise, send a bill to the people and telling them that, give me the authorization to establish war crime code in Liberia. Ellen, well, we couldn't have had a chance before in any shape and form. And President Walker now, some people are commending him. I don't know how they think. Where is the bill? Where is the letter from President Walker to the United Nations? Where is the letter from President Walker to the U.S. government asking for help? Where is it? That's what Tijen Kaba did. Where is it? Where is the bill that is signed, all right, and then communicated to the war body that we are ready for this? In fact, besides the war crime code being established, we have courts in Liberia. Why we can't handle those crimes that were committed by the individuals? Our leaders have refused to act. And this thing, yes, some people think it is so complicated. It's not complicated. It's tough, but it's not complicated. You can start taking action against individuals, but now the vicious cycles of impunity, is the order of the day. And so killers and murderers are our leaders today because we fail to act. Our leaders, to be specific, fail to act. And I give it to Liberians. Ordinary Liberians have protested in so many places, asking for war crime code from their leaders, and their leaders have not acted. That is embarrassing for us. I don't know what is going on with that. But Jimmy, let me bring in the breaking news here. As you people are aware, the assets recovery team have started work. They have taken possession of a car belonging to former police chief, what's his name, Patrick Sedu. And they didn't stop there. They also went after the former chief of protocol to President George Manarugia, Fina Bono. She has cars in the number of 36, I want to believe, and titled Grace Ride. Grace Ride number 123. Yeah, Gracious Ride. Yeah, thank you. Gracious Ride. And the assets recovery team have reason to believe that those cars were procured on dubious circumstances, and that probably she might have used state funds to have gotten those cars and using those cars as a business. And so they also took possession of some of those cars. But now she runs to the court and a judge has acted. And here is the communication. I'm putting on the screen here. I do my best to read it. Councillor N. Uswa Twe, Minister, Ministry of Justice, 14th Street, Single, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Councillor, in re Gracious Ride by and through its manager, Francis T. Blambo of the city of Monrovia, petitioner, versus the asset recovery task force headed by Councillor Edwin Mountain, also of the city of Monrovia, respondent. This is a petition for a writ of prohibition. It is by Director of His Honor Yufu D. Kaba, Associate Justice presiding in Chambers. You are hereby cited to a conference with His Honor on Monday, April the 1st, 2024, at the hour of 11 a.m. in connection with the above captioned case. Meanwhile, you are ordered to release all vehicles seized and stay all seizure pending all seizures pending the outcome of the conference. Regards. Jimmy, we have a stay order. Your take.
Well, now it becomes real, but I'm still concerned that why first, what led to this? What was the procedure? What we need to have a standard procedure about going at this, because no matter what you do, they will say it's a witch hunt. So what procedure did they arrive at before they summoned this individual to court? So unless this is maybe done by what look like the NSA or the CID, and they are treating it like crimes, it's very funny how they're going about this whole thing. It's almost as if they're treating it like criminal cases. That's what it's looking like now.
Jerry, are you there, Jerry?
I'm here.
Okay, so you are in Liberia. When you have a stay order, a petition like this is a petition for a writ of prohibition, and it says here it is signed by Councillor Sam Momalu. He's the clerk of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. So what is the language that's saying that the assets recovery should stop? And where should it stop? Is this stop only limited to the continual confiscation of the assets belonging to Gracious Right, or it affects all other individuals in possession of government assets? What's your take? What's your read?
What the language stay order meant that out of this, that the asset recovery team is carry on should be stopped until they can be able to hear from the court. So the court has already issued that rate of prohibition. The certain the head of the asset recovery team consider Edward Clark Martin to the court for hearing. So the outcome of the hearing will determine as to whether they're going to continue with the asset recovery and their workings. But it stands now, the gracious right going to be released, out of the car's going to be released, and the workings of the asset recovery team as well going to be hold on until the court come up with a ruling or outcome as to what happened. So as we speak now, out of the workings of that recovery team going to be hold on until outcome from the court.
Prince, is that your reading of the letter, and that this affects all other persons who are in possession of government assets? This is a court order saying that, hey, this is a writ of prohibition, stop. But this is a matter between Gracious Right and the Ministry of Justice now. Does it affect any other person, or is just limited to the Gracious Right?
Thank you. So, I mean, when it comes to interpreting what the court says, is difficult. But this is my reading or my understanding of the court order or the stay order placed or issued by the court. Stay order, in my understanding or what I've followed or read in the Liberian judicial system, is it means that the court is saying you on certain action or certain exercise, stop what you are doing until otherwise other investigated or understood. So if the parties had taken the asset recovery team to the court for the procedure they carry on, I could have said in the clear tone that this stay order means that they should stop. But this is a case between Gracious Right manager and it's a specific case. You get my point? Except otherwise interpreted by lawyers. But my understanding here is that the court is saying to the asset recovery team, you see some car from Philabono on grounds that you are alleging that she got those vehicles dubiously. She has come to the court through her or the manager of the institution have come to the court. We are saying stop the proceeding with the case involved. Come to the court for a conference, and the conference will determine whether or not you are proceeding rightly. That's how I understand the letter. But to say the asset recovery is going to start automatically until it's further interpreted by lawyer, because like I said, if it says stay order, but the asset recovery will not taken to the court based on what they're doing by other parties. I'm not aware that parties shouldn't went to court. Okay, so that's how that letter is understood by me.
Yeah, he's right. The letter is only between what's the company name?
Gracious Right.
Gracious Right and the asset recovery team. It doesn't affect all the other operations. But this sets a clear example that the way they have been proceeded, they're going to run into this all the time until they come up with a standard procedure for recovering these assets that is legal and that the court wouldn't prevent them from doing it like they have already done. So it is the way they're going about it that's causing this problem.
And Jimmy, there's a significant question here from J. Victor Namwet. Hold on, Prince. Is that the Asset Recovery Commission now obtained a warrant before the seizure of the vehicle? That is a significant question.
Exactly. By obtaining a warrant, they would have the legal authority.
Let me come.
Okay.
There.
All right.
At the end of this note coming from the court, it says, meanwhile, you are ordered to release all vehicle seized, stay or seizure, pending the outcome of the conference. Seizure, pending the outcome of the conference.
And this letter
All
is
seizure.
addressed to the assets recovery team, correct?
Yeah, all
All
seizure.
right, go ahead. Mhm.
All seizure pending the organ of the the court. So it's not only about gracious, but the court is also talking about all seizure.
I don't think we can do that.
No, Jimmy, let him learn. Jimmy, let him learn. Go ahead,
Okay.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, so all of the activities or the workings of the asset recovery team, you can have, the chairperson in court or the assets committee in court, then working is ongoing. That can be possible. You have to solve the issue before you also pick out another thing to do. You can be in court and start to work. It can be possible. Along, we are aware that this issue is between Gracia Ra and the asset recovery team. But the court is saying until you solve the issue with Gracia Ra, all of your activities need to be ceased or stopped until the outcome of the court, so that you can be able to carry on your work. So
Thank you.
the chairperson
Jeremiah.
cannot be in court. Yeah, the chairperson cannot be in court and people be operating. That can happen.
Thank you. Jimmy, I love the conversation away. Jimmy, this is what the last sentence is. Meanwhile, you are ordered to release all vehicles seized and stay all seizures, meaning stay away from seizing vehicles pending the outcome of the conference, and they are talking to the assets recovery team. Jeremiah, understanding here is that the court is telling the assets recovery team that you are to stay away from seizing all other vehicles or all other properties, not on a gracious right, until we can have a resolution from this conference before you can continue operation. Do you disagree?
Well, let me. If I disagree for a couple of reasons. Number one, if they wanted to prevent the asset recovery team from completely shutting down their operations when it comes to seizing vehicles, then they have to write a different type of letter, because by you telling them that they cannot function and not operate, you would have to cite your legal authority to do that.
No, what you mean? They're not stopping them. There's a stay order. It's a prohibition, meaning stop for now. It's a temporary stay order saying until we can understand. Hold on, Jimmy. Until we can understand. Stop the seizure.
Let get to know what happening.
Yeah, it's a stay away from all seizures.
Yes. Yeah,
stay away from all seizures. And this is the court speaking, Jimmy. You have to understand.
Yeah, so
the court has the authority to tell anybody in the country to stop whatever they're doing, and they must stop immediately. That is the law. All right. So I think this little letter is addressed to the assets recovery team that stop the seizures of all vehicles, not only gracious rights vehicles, until you can hear from us through the conference.
And let me just bring you back. Let me bring you back a bit. The acting executive director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Emmanuel Uri, was being complained to the court as well by the former executive director. That particular is in the court.
Yeah,
so the court has told. You are wasting time. But the court had told that Uri not to even go at the office of work. So as we speak, as long as the matter is in the court, there's no workings ongoing at the EPA currently until the matter can be resolved from the court. So it's similar things that we are discussing here. So until the issue be resolved, the asset recovery team will not have any functions or anything doing that. Want to do that? I think they'll be going against the court.
I look at it from your point, right?
Okay.
So let's understand something, that the assets recovery team is not only seizing vehicles, right? So the last line of the communication of the letter from the court stating that it should stay all systems. It doesn't also mean that the asset recovery will not work. That's how I understand it. There will be a conference on the issue of the particular case in question and other accused. Because like I said, I saw the asset recovery again in a field and trying to impound some cars. So that it looks like, I don't think the letter is telling us or is telling the team, the asset recovery team, to to stop functioning in other areas. Okay? The underlying factor here, Anthony, is that like Mr. Ismail was saying.
Why if they are in violation or disobedience of the court order?
Yeah, but the code is specific with seizure. The code is don't work anymore because the asset recovery is not only seizing vehicles around. Why a prince house is like the asset recovery feels that those horses screen guard, it should be investigated.
All right, gentlemen, let us leave it. We are not legal minds. We are just trying to share our understanding on this matter. I have been trying to reach to focus on Liberia legal analyst. It's obvious he's very busy at the moment, so I've not been able to get him so that he could provide for us the legal understanding regarding this matter. Prince, you also have another report that you want to get concerning this U.S. Congressman, Chris Smith, who is talking about war crime court. What you have? What is the report concerning that? What is Chris saying? Jimmy, you want to set up, please?
Yes, so this issue of war and economic crimes court has, establishment in Liberia has been in the corridor of our governance system since President Sirleaf came to power. The 12 years he spent there, Liberians had yearned to see the establishment of war crimes court in the minds of many Liberians, so that people who committed mayhem and atrocities against Liberians can be tried. We are government came, and then we had a debate around. It didn't gain, and then public. How they call it, support. From the media, from the political cloud. But with the Waka government, I think you have been following the news where the Global Justice team came to Liberia. They met with the Speaker of the House of Representatives. President Waka himself had met with other American diplomats in terms of how the U.S. government going to help support the establishment of war crime court. So Chris Smith yesterday released a statement reminding the Waka government of the establishment of war crimes court in Liberia. And so the importance of the discussion is how that debate is resonating with the locals. Any corner you pass and ask, every single Liberian will tell you that we want a war and economic crimes court. So as we are elevating the debate, we are there to ensure that, or to educate the public or to ask the hard questions. Is it that establishing a war crime court will actually change anything, as many of the politicians have said? Or are we prepared for this now? Is it that the U.S. government is trying to pressure the Waka government based on other influence, maybe financial influence? So those are the questions that have been asked. So yesterday, when the statement from Chris making, it took the headlines of our very local news, and it's also been discussed. When I went to the capital Benin today, some lawmakers were discussing it from the way they understand it. So basically, how it is, there's a resolution currently before the Senate. That resolution was raised from the House of Representatives, passed, sent to the Senate, praying for the establishment of the war crime courts. The Senate has not acted upon it yet. We are hoping to see what they're going to do when they come back on the 1st of April. But the debate is taking center stage in Liberia. So with the latest report from, the latest call again from Chris Smith, I think you're going to put more pressure on the Waka government to see what it can do about this war and economic crimes court.
And Prince, that can be recalled, the ambassador at large on criminal justice from the U.S. government, was in Liberia also, and remind Liberians about the need for the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Courts, and that the violence that took place, that took away over 250,000 lives, should not just be swept under the carpet. And according to her, that the U.S. government was prepared, is prepared, to provide all support that Liberia would need, both financial, logistical, and all kinds of support to make that happen. So it's obvious now that the U.S. government, has committed itself to supporting the process repeatedly now. Our leaders have been the one dragging their feet. And I know President Bouaka was being hailed for meeting with Alan White, a guy who has been in the vanguard of advocating for war crimes court for Liberia. I don't know what his interest in that. I don't know what he's up to. Maybe he needs a job. I don't know. I don't know whether he loves Liberia so much. But he has been advocating for this, and we understand that he was associated with the tribunal in Freetown. He was one of those guys that probably he made some money. He want to make some money again. He said that he actually cares about justice in Liberia. Or this man, he's a hustler trying to find a job to make some money, because the core thing is a big thing, a big money we're talking about here. But howbeit, the U.S. government has repeatedly committed itself to providing all the support we would need as a country to establish the code, and our leaders have been dragging their feet. People have been hailing President Bouaka. I mean, just by meeting Alan White, that's it. I thought you have sent a letter to Joe Biden and said, hey, this is what I want for my country. I know the legislation that is in the House, it was not sent to the House of Representatives by the president. It was not drafted by the office of the president. Neither was it drafted by, Prince, you are the legislative reporters here before I speak in error here. Who drafted this legislation? Did it come from the Unity Party, any Unity Party representative?
The resolution, it was drafted by the House's leadership, the House of Representatives leadership, and then it was signed by some members of the House. At the time it was passed, I think it was like 40 or 41 that signed it. And so that it is, it didn't really, emanate from a particular lawmaker, like it happened during the 54th. It was Rosalie Dennis was the engineer behind it. She drafted it, and she has her colleagues, she convinced her colleagues to join, other colleagues to join her, sign the resolution. At that time, it came from the House's leadership, based on the conversation held maybe with the U.S. ambassador at large at the time, with the Speaker of the House. So that it happened, it came directly from the leadership, and then other members of the House signed, and then it was passed and forwarded to the Senate.
All right. It reads here, Morovia, Liberia's lower house of parliament on Tuesday approved a motion to set up the long-awaited war crimes court and war crimes code more than 2 decades after the end of a devastating civil conflict. The vote is the first step towards trying perpetrators of human rights violation and what the resolution terms as economic crimes during 2 civil wars, which left an estimated 250,000 people dead between 1989 and 2003. When on the resolution has been passed, and the justice for the Liberian people has finally arrived. I don't know who writes like this. Said Janitor Funatico, Speaker of Liberia, House of Representatives after the vote. Funati, you think this is done? That was a statement.
That was a statement.
Yeah, that's a statement. He said justice has been what?
As justice has. He said justice has. I think
he said justice has finally arrived. Justice has finally arrived. How can justice arrive when you don't even have the court? How will Francis say that? This is a process. You have not started anything yet. We have laws in Liberia, for example, they are creating the LACC, that people should declare their assets. He, Franti, is yet to declare his asset and publish it. The entire legislature that you report from, they are in violation. The lawmakers who made the law are in violation of their own laws. He's yet to declare his asset and publish it. They said by April, all of them should do that. But the law said you should declare prior to taking office. They willingly, intentionally, and willfully, and knowingly violated the law, and they call themselves lawmakers. Shame on these individuals. And now he is saying just a resolution that is yet to be considered law has brought justice to Liberia. Franti must be out of his mind. Franti is from Southtown. I'm from Southtown. This is a very intelligent man. To speak like this is a lawyer. He understands this. A resolution passed in the House is not law yet. It has to go to the Senate. The Senate must concur. It must go to the president's desk. The president must affix his signature. Then it becomes law. In fact, there can be instances where the implementation starts at some point, sometime 2 years later.
Yeah.
Setting up a court, it's a process. And the speaker is saying justice has arrived. He doesn't know the definition of arrival or what arrive means. Jimmy, your take. I'm pissed right now.
I think this is what we're finding typical. You asked the question, why are we going to the embassy, the U.S. embassy, when we have Antelope? The leadership, the crop of leadership right now is not assertive. And they do a lot of posturing. Instead of carrying out the mandate of the people, they pretend that they are.
Sorry, can I leave? I had to go for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Prince, you can leave.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Bring us the latest. So they pretend like they're doing the work, and then they don't do the work. It's not enough to simply start this. Justice will not arrive until the court proceedings begin and judgment is rendered. That is when justice will have arrived. We're still putting things together, and that goes across the board. Even the way the asset recovery team is proceeding, they are bungling it. They're making mistakes, and we have lawyers. According to it's being led by a seasoned lawyer, so you would expect that they would go by the legal means of attaining these lost, stolen, or taken, or confiscated properties. But why are they proceeding like this? So it is very apparent that the lack of the will to obey the laws in the country is one of the weaknesses we have to overcome. And nobody's addressing that. And this is what this Barker administration will have to address, because we can clearly see that the legislature is compromised. We see a lot of compromise throughout. So it's only with the executive leadership will have to show by example that they respect the laws of the country, and anybody else will have to fall in line or face the consequences.
And Jimmy, do you have reason to believe now that the War Crimes Court might not be realized under this new administration as it was under previous administrations?
Yeah, I've been seeing over the years there's been a lack of political will to do this. And the longer it takes, the more difficult it is for evidence and to get the witnesses that evidence the tragic going-ons at the time. The more time we waste, the worse things get. So it doesn't appear that this is getting very much traction. I say it's just a lot of posturing, but it doesn't really appear that it is getting traction. And unless we Liberians, not the U.S. government, not the ECOMOG or ECOWAS court, unless we Liberians make up our minds that this is what we want to do, then it will continue to be kicking the can down the road, and eventually you will forget about the can. That's what's going to happen.
Jimmy, I don't trust the current government headed by Josiah Imam Bouakai and Jeremiah Cohn to deliver on this promise of World Crime Court. That whole meeting the president had with Alan White, I don't think the president will follow through on all the things that were said concerning the World Crime Court. I don't trust that. But where is the urgency that you see from the executive mansion? Where's the urgency that you see from this party called the Unity Party? Where is that urgency? I don't see it. Who has the president talked to beside Alan White? Is Alan White now his ambassador for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court? I mean, I need more information. What has the president done besides talking to Alan White? Besides announcement in speeches, I think in his inaugural address, he was clear about the establishment of the World Economic Crimes Court. But
but in all fairness,
when he had the opportunity to address the Congress, right, when he was giving his legislative agenda, he almost didn't mention it because Prince Johnson has issued some threats. So I know you are saying in all fairness, where is the fairness here that you are talking about, that we should give the men the time to do so?
There's a lot of priorities that the government has to handle right now. I don't know. I'm not even sure if they can meet the wage bill at this for this month. There are other priorities such as the education, the roads. There's so many different things they have to do. So even though the economic war and economics court is important, but does that take precedence over all the other things that they have to do? So you have to line things up with priority. And
so, Jimmy, that's why you're saying that if it is not a priority, right? When will they ever get to that? And we talk about the budget. The budget tells you what the government wants to do. The establishment of the War Crime Code, we should not be expecting only foreigners to finance what we want. I mean, how can you as a father expect your neighbor to pay your child's school fee? This is what I see here. This is the president talking about War Crime Code meeting and Alan White. Now, he submits a budget. A penny is not in that budget for the establishment of War Crime Code, Jimmy. So tell me, when you say war in all fairness, where's the War Crime Code? You think you're going to use mouth to create it? You need money. Individuals must be paid. People need to put in time. Is there a penny in that budget for the establishment of War Crime Code, Jimmy?
There is not.
So when? So the Americans have said they will help you, but they want to see why you are able to do. The resolution is just a law trying to give the nation or the president the authorization to act. So let there be money in the budget. Now, the president said, well, no car stuck in the mud. And they put money in the budget already. And that's something tells you that he really wants to follow through on that. There's $1.6 million that were in some budget, right? For them to do this road thing with no car stuck in the mud. In fact, the Ministry of Public Works has issued contracts in a tune of $21 million. The other day, the lawmakers were questioning where did the money come from? We don't know about this money. The Ministry of Public Works gave contracts out valued at $21 million United States dollars, and the House of Representatives is saying we don't know about this money. Now, what that tells us is that the president wants to do the roasting. So there is money. Action being seen. So where's the money for the War Crime Court? Oh, the money will come from America? Was it Americans who killed the people that died? Is it America's responsibility to bring closure to those that got killed? Didn't the president make a promise to do so? Liberians have overwhelmingly, on scientific polls, shown that they won the war in economic crime score. We have been clear as ordinary Liberians that we won this score. Our leaders have been playing politics with this. This is how they insult our intelligence and don't prioritize what is a priority for us. Yes, the war crime score is a priority, Jimmy. If you ask me, it should be number one. Look, Jimmy, we can do, don't we have education? And the government is funding education, and the government at the same time funding sanitation. Is the government not funding all the activities in the country? So why would someone tell me that, well, this is a priority, so it should wait? Jimmy, you see what I'm saying?
I understand you totally, but this has always been the case.
The same way I can argue that maybe the issue of renewable energy provision in Liberia is not a priority, but the government, the president now is appointing individuals to that agency for so-called rural renewable energy. I don't know what kind of nonsense is that, right? So money being allocated for that to run. So why not the war crime court? And the president is trying to give us the impression that they will be a priority. So he mentioned it in the inaugural address, and then he met Alan White. And so where's the money concerning that? So Jimmy, I don't trust the government, just as I did not trust previous government to deliver on the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court. This is sad for us that our fellow citizens we saw being killed by our brothers and sisters. We feel that we don't have a responsibility to act. Lives have been taken away. The records are there, and our leaders act as though nothing happened. No wonder why individuals steal government money and they are around here. Some of them have not declared their assets. They refuse to do so because they don't want us to know what they've done. But Jimmy, another story, then we will call it a day here. The National Social Security and Welfare Corporation is an agency of government that manages government pension funds, or pension funds, not for government, for civil servants who work for government. People who work for government for their entire life, money being deducted from their monthly salaries and placed into a specific account to be managed by NASCA. NASCA does not generate any other revenue from anywhere, to my knowledge, besides that. During the transitional government, then President Bwaka was president. Now President Bwaka was then president-elect. There's a letter that came from the president, the office of the president-elect during the transitional team, written by his now Minister of Presidential Affairs, or Sylvester Grisby. Grisby sent a letter to the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation asking the Director General there that he should buy the transitional team cars. And the guy acted by spending over 112,000 United States dollars to get cars for the president-elect and the transitional team. In other words, let me make it simple. President-elect Bwaka at the time was asking the people at NASCA, hey, go to the retired people money and buy all cars for us to use during the transitional period and after the transitional period. This is a man who has been in government for so long. NASCA is not an agency of government that is responsible to buy cars for government officials, let alone a transitional team. But Bwaka, to his full knowledge, his chief of office staff at the time wrote a letter from his office of the president-elect, asking NASCA to buy cars and the date. And the letter is in the open. And he is telling us about no business as usual. Jimmy, this is a fact. There's a letter to that effect. That the office of the president-elect then, Joseph Bwaka, went to NASCA and asking that the retired people money be used to get cars for his use and after inauguration. Your take. Is this not business as usual?
Here's what's going on. The NASCAR, even though they're collecting money from civil servants, the money should be invested in a way that it increases, so that they will be able to pay the pensions and whatnot of the civil servants. And they don't simply just go take it and put it in the bank, but rather it's supposed to be invested, just like here, like what the Social Security does. They try to invest the money.
Thank you.
Now, apparently, there was a liquidity problem. They couldn't put their hands on cash. So they write the letter to NASCAR, who might have had they know what's in the bank accounts of these places, and say, could you do this? And we will, when the budget passes, we will refund the money that you're using to do this purchase. Now,
the letter did not say that, Jimmy.
Yeah, but it's understood in these sort of ongoings. But the thing about it is that the right procedure? And again, we're saying just what you said before. We have to respect the laws and do things according to the proper procedure.
Jimmy, that is the whole operation right there. And
Yeah.
government should not be in the business of doing so.
That has been the issue. And until we start to honor the very laws that we enacted, until we set an example for all to follow, that these are the procedures and this is how we're going to go about it, we're going to see this. And this kind of compromise can cause all kinds of problems. We saw this before, and they're doing the same thing. So until we can address our issues in a more professional, scientific, and ethical way, where we will see business as usual. That's what's going to happen.
And Jimmy, this is sad that this will be coming from someone with so much experience with governance, and also from a unity party to be doing this kind of thing. NASCAR is not responsible to procure cars for government use. No. Here's the thing. The General Services Agency has that responsibility. Besides, there are car dealers in Liberia. The office of the president-elect at the time could reach out to a car dealer and take a loan. This president is noted for taking loans. Jimmy, have you forgotten I'm living on loan? His own words. And nothing wrong with loan. I live on loan. My house I have is a loan. So he could have taken a loan, just as Miguel took loan to get a house, right? And nothing wrong with taking loan. They could have taken loan and get the cars and pay back. But the GSA, in my opinion, could have been reached. The fact that he was president-elect at the time, it was the responsibility of the WIA administration to provide transportation for then the president-elect. Did he reach out? Did he reach out to the sitting government at the time, CDC, to provide transportation for the president-elect then, and they said no? If they said no, is that why they have now not yet a legitimate government to be asking a government entity to procure cars for them without the full knowledge of the sitting government? And this is President Walker now who is telling us there will be no business as usual. Business as usual started from day one, even before inauguration. This is why we see. Well, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. You are watching our program Between the Headlines, and we are discussing, covering issues making the news in Liberia. And we try to break some of the news to you and provide some analysis. I have been here with my man Jimmy Eastman co-hosting, and we had our two reporters in Liberia, Jeremiah Momba and Prince Momba, who provided some detailed reports of some things that are happening in Liberia. Jeremiah reported on a CDC press conference they call Major Press Conference, major press conference. My fault. All they did there was complain and whine and sending letter to Chinese embassy to do what, I don't know. Well, Jimmy, this is how we'll come to the close of this presentation. Let me read some comments and then we'll get your closing statement here. Let's read our viewers' comments. This one is from Catherine Gibson. Instead of signing War and Economic Crimes Co-Executive Order, which will be in 200 million, and which will think they create 200 million jobs, something. Will be 200 million and jobs, focusing on adding jobs, stable electricity and internet. They're running beyond cars. So up when they, hey, instead of doing the war crimes code, creating jobs, focusing on stable electricity and then providing internet, they are running beyond cars. Like yeah, from Herring, Ara Giddens, I think I got it right there. That depreciation law should be ruled out because it does not match the current status of this country. Well, the roads are bad, so you put a depreciation law there. I mean, after every 2 years, every car will be sold to whoever owns it for $15. Catherine Gibson again, their efforts and political capital is being wasted on this issue. Liberians' life won't change by seizing cars and properties. I agree with you. There got to be a better way to do it. She writes here, no, this is Herring who write here. Most law enforcers use this law against private citizens. They will impound your vehicles, make it look harder to get it out, and over time, they will now auction your vehicle and buy it for themselves at a cheaper price. That person writes. Peter White writes, the asset recovery thing is proceeding wrongly. I want to believe proceeding wrongly, and that may lead to civil conflicts in Liberia. Like yeah, from Thomas here. Thomas, right? If this isn't carried out to retrieving stolen properties and money that should have been used to making our country better, Liberia will forever be backward. That's how the person says it. Like yeah, from Edwin here, this government is not serious. We don't have hope anymore. Jimmy, your take?
Yeah, there is it. This is what's going on, and we've seen this thing over and over. I will make it like palm butter. We very well know if we want to cook palm butter, we have to beat the nuts. We have to strain the pulp that comes out of it. Then we have to put it in a pot. We have to get combustion, either when we burn it on fire coal or we burn it on wood. We put it in the pot. Then we have to find chicken soup, other spices and whatnot to go in, and maybe some meat and other things. And then after we cook the soup, it has to cook for a certain amount of time. And then we let it simmer. Then it's be ready to eat. We are not using the same procedures to run our government. The whole procedure of the asset recovery, the idea is good. You want to get the average is government property. But did we follow the procedure to do it? Like how we will follow that procedure to cook the palm butter? Our inability to come up with a standard procedure and to abide by it will cause us more and more backwardness. It doesn't help. And we might have gotten accustomed to doing this thing because of the war when everything was willy-nilly. But it's been 20 years. And we're still doing things willy-nilly. This administration, of all administrations, should be held to erect the standard procedures and to abide by them because they bring the most experience. So for me, this is what I expect. I expect a very experienced administration, and they need to lead by example. Otherwise, we'll be here again in the next 6 years. That's how I conclude.
That was the concluding statement of our man, Jimmy Eastman. And Jimmy, thank you. And we want to say thanks to our followers. Continue to follow us, Focus on Liberia, as we bring you the issues. And never hesitate to share our video, to like them, and to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah, I Focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We are a media institution, fair and balanced and neutral, and it's about accountability, and it's about making our leaders to do the right thing so that we can get on a path to sustainable recovery, good governance, and the rule of law. That is what we do, and that is all we are all about. And so we will close the broadcast that Liberia needs out of us. Each person doing their role or playing their role in a more ethical way. This business as usual has never gotten us anywhere. It should stop now. It should have stopped many years ago. It did not. It must stop now. And it begins with each individual being responsible enough by being ethical in whatever they do. We have a new government that has raised the hope of so many Liberians. I don't know why they have hopes. I don't know why they are looking at. I really don't know. But it's good to have hope. Hope is a good thing. When you are hopeless, it becomes a dangerous situation. Our leaders must sustain these hopes by doing the right things for our people. And that's the only way to go. We should never believe that America is going to save us. We should never, ever think that the Chinese is going to save us. We must be our own saviors if we are a people that believe in saviors. That is what it has come to. Prince Johnson will save us. Some people believe he saved Nima. Bwaka will save us. He's coming with a rescue train. Weah was going to save us. You are coming with Propo. Ellen Johnson Sully was going to save us because she was from the United Nations. Doe came and he came with the mantra, rap and corruption. He was going to save us. What Doe did was Doe stole from us. It is about time that every Liberian should have a responsibility in the governance of our country. Be you a carpenter, if something is wrong, you must say something. If we all keep silent and thinking that the lawmakers who are now violators, some of them have become legislators, then we are doomed, and I'll say it again, we are doomed. If we allow these leaders to just roam around the wild dogs thinking that they are ethical leaders and they will save us. It has been proven over and over, government after government, they are not the ones to count on. Unfortunately, those are the ones that you have elected. And so you have a responsibility to hold them accountable for them to do the right thing for Mama Liberia. My name is Anthony C.A. and Jimmy Eastman spoke earlier with his closing. And we are closing with a song that says, we are all Liberians and all Liberians we will remain. Enjoy the song. We'll be back with another fresh edition next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia all we want. Liberia, oh. Liberia all we want. Liberia, Liberia.